Hello everyone, ex-Wallkill Bethelite here. And yes again, Watchtower is like this big plantation. Except the slaves, the people who work for and on this plantation, they're not just black people. They're white people. Watchtower has accomplished white slavery on a level unlike anything else I've seen. You have other religious groups that have high demands on their followers. You have Mormons. Mormons go knocking on doors and what have you, but normally that's just for 2 years. And those are younger people who then, after their 2 years is up, get married, have a family, and they are able to go about their lives without those types of demands on them. I use the Mormons because they knock on doors, Jehovah's Witnesses knock on doors. You see a correlation there. But with Jehovah's Witnesses, the demand of your time and energy and resources continue until you are either dead or of no use to Watchtower anymore. Again, we've stated before that these titles, such as elder, they get people going. They work people's egos, such as pioneer. All those titles, they only mean you have been a slave and you have slaved your time and energy for Watchtower. Watchtower is a big, multi-racial slave enterprise. They make tons of money with essentially slave labor building facilities, kingdom halls, things of that sort, assembly halls, and then selling them, flipping these properties. These people are working for free. Slaves work for free. These people can't do what they want to do and when they want to do it. Slaves can't do what they want to do when they want to do it. These people will be punished. Jehovah's Witnesses will be punished by Watchtower if they don't fall in line with what Watchtower states. Slaves will be punished if they don't do what their masters tell them to do. Jehovah's Witnesses can't go in the house. In other words, Jehovah's Witnesses can't go in this facility, the Bethel, that they think is their organization. No, that's the plantation. You are the slaves. You can't go in Bethel when you want to. Only Bethelites, only people who are members of the order can go inside Bethel. You are the slaves. You stay outside of Bethel and you work when you are told to work. You need to give more. You need to give more. This is what people hear. It causes depression. It causes mental illness. But with slavery, I'm sure there was depression. I'm sure there's mental illness. I'm sure there was a feeling of never being able to have done enough and not having much to show for all that work. Another correlation with slavery. You have pioneers knocked on doors 90 hours a month or whatever it was back in the day and did it for years. And what do they have to show? Just a bunch of worn out shoes and old dresses. And a gas bill that if they were to tally up all the money they spent in gas, working the fields for Watchtower, it would be insane. There aren't too many organizations that have established essentially enslaving white people. Now, of course, you have blacks that are a member of Watchtower, but blacks in slavery is nothing new. You have Latin people, you have people of all different races, but you actually have an organization that has managed to figure out how to get white people to work for free. And to say, when they say jump, they say how high. If not, you get disfellowshipped or reproved or publicly shamed or shunned. There's all kinds of different methods to strike fear that Watchtower has that it can then use for essentially its slaves. Strike fear in them, make them afraid to question Watchtower. Also, it is not new for a slave to connect its master in some sort of way with God, the image of God, and the master being the same. It's just like when the black slaves would go to church and see pictures that looked like their slave masters, right? The pictures of Jesus would look just like the person that's running the plantation, and then there's some sort of a correlation and a fear that is developed for that human being because there's a connection in that person, that slave's mind, with God and its master. Well, it's the same with Watchtower. I'm telling you, there is a direct correlation with slavery with, believe it or not, white people as well. And Watchtower, the connection between Bethel, Watchtower, governing body, and God are essentially one and the same. The slave looks at Watchtower as a direct link to God. There's no other way to get to God other than the slave master or Watchtower. And then there's a fear that is developed. Oh, it's a Bethelite. Oh, there's a brother giving a talk and he was from Patterson, Bethel, and he was there for 10 years. Oh, let's all be quiet and listen to him. Like, there's a direct correlation to a reverence and fear of God and the slave master, which is Watchtower, and the slave, which are the people who have been given this title, Jehovah's Witnesses, which are just, honestly, just slaves. These people with this title can't, they can't even walk into Bethel. They can't do anything. They can't determine what they're going to study. They're told what to study. They're told what to read. They're told not to read or study anything outside of what they're given. Like, these people are slaves with a glorified title. The title being Jehovah's Witness. The reality being you're just a slave. You just go out there and knock on them doors and push these watchtowers and stand next to these carts and clean these kingdom halls that Kingdom Hall clean up. When we tell you to clean the assemblies, build the halls, build the assemblies, pay us money. You know God needs money. Watchtower has accomplished white slavery. They have enslaved white people. I think a good number of the membership, at least in America, is white. There's blacks as well. Again, there's Latins, there's other races. Again, the point being, slavery in blacks is nothing new. There may even be some sort of familiarity with the past in slavery and Watchtower. There may be a familiarity there that attracts people to want to be told what to do all the time. What is interesting is that I'm not aware that in recent history, whites in America have been enslaved. So there shouldn't be a familiarity with being told what to do, when to do it, how to do it. There shouldn't be a familiarity with that. But Watchtower somehow accomplished it. Also, women in Watchtower they are put in the lowest position of the lowest position of the lowest position. You're not allowed to do anything but work. You're not even allowed most of the empty titles that Watchtower gives out. The titles you get primarily are, glorified door knocker or pioneer, glorified cart pusher. You can stand next to carts and knock on doors, and that's it. You don't even get to stand up on a platform and talk and build your ego. Oh, I'm important now. See, the women are treated bad. All the women get to look forward to is getting married to someone else who is given an empty title. Think about it. All you have to look forward to, you don't even get the empty, meaningless titles. All women have to look forward to is marrying someone else who they hope will obtain an empty, meaningless title. I think this has a direct correlation to the Depression. Why are so many people that are connected to Watchtower depressed? Because of the horrid treatment. They are slaves and they don't even know they are slaves. So of course they're depressed. A slave isn't going to be the happiest person in the world. There's going to be depression and mental illness. And we see that is prevalent amongst Jehovah's Witnesses. We see that prevalent amongst Watchtower. We see suicide is an issue. Suicide is an issue at Watchtower, Jehovah's Witnesses. See, it gets that bad where a person is repressed to such an extent, and then they still feel like they can't do enough for their master Watchtower, that they push themselves, and they have nothing to show for all this pushing that they're doing, and then they just have this spiral of depression, feeling inadequate. See, you have a governing body, you have one black person on the governing body, Samuel Hurd, you have a bunch of other white people on the governing body, that's true, but a lot of the slaves that Watchtower has that ain't allowed to even walk in the building at Bethel, their own organization's headquarters, you can't even walk in the building. A lot of them are white, and you wonder what causes a person to demean themselves like that because someone said so. I'm going to put myself in a lower position. Why? Someone said so. I ain't allowed to vote, just like slavery. I'm telling you there's a direct correlation. It's almost as if Watchtower said, hey, how can we make a religion and directly pattern it off slavery? Boom, you got Watchtower. Literally. How can we make a religion and pattern it directly off slavery? Watchtower. And it has been, to a certain extent, successful in creating slaves, but unsuccessful in making its doctrine make sense with the failed predictions, with the overlapping generation baloney. But what it has been successful at is putting fear in its slaves to where they're afraid to think. Don't look at that watchtower too hard. You might get to doing that thinking. All that independent thinking ain't good. Don't you be doing it. Can you imagine? We've all seen the movies with, blacks or African Americans depicted as a slave and talking like that. But it's amazing that literally you have white people with this going through their mind right now. Right now, you have white people with this thought going through their mind. Don't be doing all that reading outside of that watchtower. You're going to make that watchtower mad. Don't you be doing all that thinking there. Don't you be thinking all that thinking thoughts and reading and what not going to get you in trouble. Unbelievable. It's not even funny. It's unbelievable. 937-789-4029. Comment down below. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you know of another organization that has managed to, of course, blacks have gone through it, but managed to essentially enslave whites in America, other than Watchtower, and that has demeaned women as much as Watchtower. Heard with the whole women having smaller brains and what have you, and still managed to get female members. They don't get no real titles or anything like that. Or Watchtower don't even give them as much work to do. Or Watchtower calls work privilege. It's a privilege for you to work for your master. So Watchtower calls all this work that it gives people privileges, and they believe it. Oh, it's such a privilege. Let me carry this microphone. Let me sweep up dirt. Let me scrub this toilet. Let me knock on these doors. Oh, it's such a privilege. Ooh. Women don't even get to say, they only get to knock on doors and marry who Watchtower wants them to marry. They don't get to do nothing else. They can't even wear what they want to wear without getting judged, and your skirt better be longer and this, that, and the third. As far as Bethel, for the longest time, they weren't even accepting single women to even apply. Granted, true men, nobody that's not a Bethelite can just walk into Bethel. You know what I mean? That's a whole nother order. These people really think that they're a part of this organization. No, it's called Bethel. These people are called Bethelites. Y'all are on the outside of it. Think about it. Y'all on the outside of this organization. You think you're a part. Y'all are the slaves, the workers. The Watchtower has gotten away with essentially enslaving white people. There's a ton of white Jehovah's Witnesses. There's a lot of them that wake up, but there's a ton of them that are still in. And they're not able to correlate slavery to what's happening to them. And women are definitely treated poorly. To pray around a man, you better put a hat on or cover your head or something. Like, this stuff is amazing what Watchtower's been able to get away with. And it's 2019 and they're treating women like this. Women, you would think, have come a long way. But Watchtower is more than happy to try to keep women 100 steps backwards and to establish international slavery. They don't care what race you are. Black, white, yellow, whatever. You can be out there working in that plantation. So comment down below. Let me know what you think. Ex-Wallkill Bethelite signing out.